I might go and spend my money today. I've been working day and night and I'm in need of a break. I've been feeling so great. I got a pretty little shawty trying to ride on the wave. Whoa, I might go and spend my money today. I've been working day and night and I'm in need of a break. I've been feeling so great, yeah.
Welcome back, fight fans, for episode 5 of Blood, Sweat, and Tears. We have the number 5th ranked middleweight in the world fighting out of Oslo, Norway, Jack Hermansson, 11-fight UFC veteran. Thank you, Jack, for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. It's awesome to be here.
Boom. So how's it going then?
It's going pretty well. It's still a long time before the fight.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever got a fight with that long time to prepare.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. So I guess you have to just keep a steady pace and not overdo it too early. So you will stay healthy all the way to the fight in December.
That's good. That's good. Fight fans are definitely excited for that fight. Darren Till's a huge name, so there's obviously going to be big implications in that fight. For you personally, then, where were you born? You were born in Sweden, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I was born in Sweden, in a small town called Uddevalla on the west coast, and I lived in Sweden until I was 19 years old, and then moved to Norway.
Oh, nice. So, how did you get into martial arts then?
I just loved it since I was a kid. I was a huge fan of Bruce Lee, watching all those martial arts movies and practicing with my brothers in a room at home, fighting and so on. So I just loved it since I was a kid. And then I started to wrestle when I was 9 years old. Wrestled for many years, and in my teens I caught up with MMA on YouTube. And after my wrestling career was finished, I felt like I wanted to try something new, and that's my way into MMA.
Oh, nice. Did you have a favorite fighter growing up at all?
Oh yeah, many. The one that got me into MMA was Bas Rutten.
Oh, Bas Rutten, yeah.
I was watching his, I was watching his lethal street fighting videos and so on, and then I was watching his UFC fights. The next one was Wanderlei Silva, and he was the one that really, got me. So when I was watching his fights in Pride, I was just sold. Just loved it from that moment, and then I got more into the sport, and I really understood what it was about. To really find out which is the best martial arts. And that was a question that I was having in my mind since I was a kid. Which one is it? Is it karate? Is it kung fu? What is it? And when I finally had this sport that, was really trying to find out who is the best martial artist, that then I just knew that this is my sport.
That's awesome. So you said that you were a big Pride fan then. So you grew up watching Pride all those years then?
I started to watch MMA in my teens, and a lot of them was on YouTube. So they probably were old fights, but also the current fight that was at that time. So I caught some of the wave, and also I was just studying all the good old fights as well.
It's funny because I feel like when I started to become a martial arts fan, it was during that Pride era. So I remember back in Canada, the fights in Japan would broadcast at like midnight here. So I'd like stay up with my friends and we'd watch the fights at midnight to 6 a.m. type deal, like an all-nighter just to watch some fights. But Pride put on like such a show too. They did a lot of stuff for their fans too. So it was fun to watch.
Yeah, definitely. It was a very different approach, and big walkouts, and yeah, it was a special time with a really special feeling to it. So I wouldn't mind if we went back a little bit to that and touch on that again. That would be really cool, actually. So it's gonna be interesting to see how the UFC develops in the future. If we will put more focus on those kind of stuff. So it was super cool, but it was also a lot of like freak shows,
Yeah.
weird matchups and so on. So I'm glad that we have a higher standard of the sport right now than was back then, even though there were great fighters
Yeah.
back then also. But it's a higher standard now, and that's great. But yeah, I would love to see a little bit of firework in the workouts for sure.
What stands out for me from those old videos is like, especially you being a Vanderlei Silva fan. Remember the announcer, the Pride announcer? And so she was like Vanderlei.
Yeah.
So that's like one of my main memories from Pride is the announcer, because she was she was fun, like she.
That package there, with the music and her voice, the announcer. It was just like they just got it, those guys. They really knew what they were doing, and they created something great back then.
Definitely. So back to you then. What does it mean to you now to be a UFC fighter on the biggest platform in the world?
It's amazing, and sometimes you need to pinch yourself, and remind yourself that hello, you are living the dream right now. Some years back it was just a dream, and now it's reality. So it's super cool to be a part of the biggest organization in the world, and I'm enjoying every bit of it, actually.
That's good. That I feel like that's like one of the most important things after, like, from my experience with just talking to fighters and coaches and stuff right now, is just to enjoy the process. You know what I mean? Like, you have you guys go through so much in your battles inside and outside the cage that you literally have to enjoy every little thing, from the sparring sessions to the jiu-jitsu sessions or whatever, to the weight cuts, to the moment you walk into the cage, So it's nice to hear that you're literally just staying present in the moment and just enjoying everything, because the fight game doesn't last forever. So while it's here, you might as well just live it, like you're living, you're living a lot of people's dreams right now too. So it's awesome to see. Have you ever had any crazy injuries in a fight or anything occur to you?
Yeah, I fought Thales Latis, and in the first round I dislocated my rib. So basically the rib got loose, it dislocated from its joint. And that was the most painful experience I ever had in a fight. People say that the adrenaline take away, but not in that fight, man. It was pain from the start to the finish there, and it didn't look too bright for me in that fight. But I managed to turn it around in the third round and win that fight, and that was definitely one of my biggest experiences in the cage, and that was a nasty injury that I hope that I won't get again.
It's funny how you say that, like injuries, because in an actual fight, you can have adrenaline just push you through, but then sometimes that adrenaline just dumps, and it's like, nah, you can feel every breath, especially like you said, a rib, right? So literally, that's your breathing every time.
Exactly, and lying there on bottom with the guy on top of you. It's one thing that they are on top and putting on the pressure, but it's when you are moving, every move that you make, you just feel how it clicks and pops, and how it moves around in you, and the pain that comes with it. It's not a pleasant experience. So
I had a kickboxing fight in Thailand like 4 years ago, and I broke my foot in the first round. But because it was my foot, I was able to like avoid it in a sense. For you, a rib, I feel like that's a spot you can't really avoid in a fight. Like whether you're throwing a punch, blocking, kicking, moving, like it's relevant every single moment.
Yeah, definitely. I could really feel that, because I was on bottom, and every time you want to shrimp or do a escape or something, you could just so everything you did, you were just punished for it by the pain inside of you. So you just wanted to lay there and hope. I was just hoping, oh man, can't the ref just stand us up so I can get the opportunity on the feet, because it was terrible. But yeah, it turned out good, turned out well.
Well, that's a great experience for you too, because Tails Leitez, especially in that moment too, he was like, I think he might have been top 15 still around then too, right? So being able to come,
that's very possible. Yeah.
So being able to come back and show adversity with somebody like that, who had a title fight with Anderson Silva at one point in his life, it's good testament to your character and just that natural fighter in you, So fight fans look forward to seeing that more, not the injury per se, but the battles. So for you,
exactly.
for you personally, what drives you to be the best version of Jack Hermansson every day?
I think it's just the goals that you set in life, and I always had small goals that became bigger goals, and like way back, you want to be a professional fighter, then you wanted to get into the UFC, then you wanted to get into the top 15, the top 10, the top 5, and now it's just one more goal now, is to become the best in the world, and that's my drive right now. I really want that number one spot, and to be recognized as the best middleweight in the world. That's the dream that I have right now, and I'm working to make that a reality as well.
I love that. I think when you can visually see growth, and then when you're living that growth and you're able to change those goals on the fly, it's a beautiful feeling. Like you said, your initial goal was just to be a pro fighter, then get to the UFC top 15. Now it's like it's in your hands, where actually it's attainable. It's like, okay, like I beat Darren Till, like anything can happen now, So that kind of leads into my next question. Like, fighting's very physically demanding, but would you say the mental side is equal or more important?
Yeah, definitely is at least as important. The thing is that you can be amazingly good, but if your head isn't with you in there, you will not be able to perform even close to your ability. So it's an extremely important part of the game, and one that I put a lot of thought in and a lot of work in as well. The mental game is a huge part of MMA.
That's good to hear. What kind of things do you practice to connect with yourself then? Like, do you do like yoga and meditation or manifestation kind of things like that? Or what kind of practices do you do to connect with yourself?
Yeah, definitely. I do a lot of things, but I think the whole process where I write things down, goals that I have, things that I want to do, and I make sure that I have everything on paper. All my efforts are on paper, so I know that I'm doing everything I can to get better every day. So I think that those preparations is the base and the foundation for you to be to know that that you put the work in to be able to perform. That's the foundation, and then on top of that, I'm using a lot of visualization as well. I both meditate, but also like active visualization, where you I touched on it the other day here. I can put my workout song on, for example, and go through that part of it many times just to prepare. Or I can put my gloves on and just to smell them and to get that extra feeling a little bit closer to that fighting feeling. So I do a lot of that to prepare for my fight. So it's supposed to feel like you've done it before, right? Before you get in there, and it's such an important part of it for me.
I love that you pointed it out, because I feel like a lot of people don't understand how important it is to actually visualize and just manifest the life you want. Because if you put that energy out there of what you want, so you throw that energy out to the universe is going to listen to that, reciprocate. And if you put in the work, it can be attainable, right? But if you're negative, have a negative mindset and blah, 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 you're likely going to attract negativity, right? So it's like that mental part is so important. And you being top 5 in the world right now, I think is a testament to how strong you are mentally, because you've overcame things your whole life, and then you've visually been able to see your goals change along the way, and now the main goal is within reach, so I bet you that's a beautiful, beautiful feeling, so just to like all that hard work that you put in your life right now, it's like, okay, like shit, like I can accomplish anything, so.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a beautiful thing that you get from a career like this. Like you feel like, everything is actually possible, because you can see it unfold yourself, and when you reach all of those small goals, and when they grow, you start to understand and actually believe that anything is possible. So it's a great thing.
So speaking of the highs right now, have you had any lows in your career where, like, after a loss type deal where you took a loss bad, or like kind of just have had to go through some mental battles to overcome, and then like kind of just get that focus back going again? Because I feel like fighting would be one of those things where like doubt could creep in if you allow it. And then obviously if you're mentally strong, you're gonna push that away. But have you ever had any moments then where like doubt has came in, or anything where you're like after a loss and you kind of just felt really shitty? Or
not like there was never a doubt of myself or my abilities, more than the mental part, the mental stability. That's something that I've been hunting for many years, and that I still feel like I can improve, even though I'm a lot mentally stronger now than before. I still feel like that's the thing that could hold me back a little bit. And back, way back before, I definitely felt like that was holding me back from, even when I won fights, I felt like, all right, I was way too terrified before I went in there this time. And if it would have been a greater opponent, I wouldn't win this fight and stuff like that. So I've been knowing for some time that I really need to do something about that. That was one thing, and then also I was in Bellator for some time back in the days, and I lost 2 fights there in a row, and I then got in this limbo where I was waiting for a fight, and I didn't get one, and there was bad communication between me and the organization, and so I was just waiting for 1.5 years or something without a fight. And I'm a guy, like, I always wanted to fight as often as possible. So 1.5 years was terrible when I was like, I had only 7 fights, and I wanted to stay active and grow in my career, right? So I asked them to release me, and finally they did. And after that, I was very hungry, and I had a great 8-fight win streak before I got into the UFC again. So that was a tough time, being on hold like that with 2 losses in your back. But I came through that as well, and with some hard works, and some years later, I came into the UFC. So.
Well, that's beautiful to hear, because you went, like, that's a story right there where you had 2 losses, and then I feel like that inactivity, like that's literally a full mind game for you in that year now, because all you want to do is get out there and prove that you're this fighter that you're capable of, and then you just can't get a contract or anything and can't show it. So I think that was probably like a big turning point in your career, because you were literally forced into growing mentally, because you couldn't get out there physically, and just you were always kind of used to like showing those physical brute strength, so that 1.5 years allowed you to just grow mentally. So I think now we can probably look back at that like, damn, like Jack Hermansson is going to be a future champ one day from that moment
Yeah.
of inactivity back in the day. Because
Yeah, but I feel like that as well. Like, I don't regret, if you can say that. I don't regret my losses, any of them. You know, I feel like I
yeah,
became a better person, a better fighter from those losses, and that's why I'm at where I am today. So yeah, you grow from things like that.
I think that's the true winner's mindset, you know, when there is no losses, because life to me is like lessons or blessings, you know what I mean? So even in those losses, there's lessons every single time, but you just have to be conscious enough to understand them, feel them, and then learn from them, and then you're able to move forward, you know? I feel like a lot of people can tend to avoid things that don't make them feel good, whether that be anxiousness, unhappy, sadness, or whatever. And they kind of just avoid those feelings, you know? But if you feel those feelings, understand it, and you're like, hey, like, so just for like losing a fight, you feel it, you understand it, and learn from it, then you can move forward from it and like not let those same mistakes happen again. And just like life, you can translate those same lessons into life. So I think that's one of the most beautiful things I like about fighting is everything's just so relatable to life, because you are by yourself in there, you know, like you have a team of supporters who help you and get you to where you are. But really, when it comes down to when that cage door shuts, it's just you and one other man in there. So
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, it's you're a little bit on your own in there. You got a lot of help before and after, but right then and there, it's just you and your abilities that can save you.
what advice do you have for anybody who's chasing their goals or their dreams that maybe has a little doubt in their mind or anything? Like, because that's just what advice do you have anyone for chasing their goals and dreams?
My advice is to go for it, believe in it, and make sure that you put the work in. Nothing is for free, you know. It's not gonna come to you. You have to grab it. You have to make sure that you are doing everything in your power to get there, because there is some things in a fight that I can't control. I can't control what my opponent is gonna do to me, right? But what I can control is every single day of preparation until that fight, and you make sure that you do the most of those days, because that's what can affect your result. So that's my advice. Make sure that you put the work in.
That's good, because for myself personally right now, I'm in this transition period where I quit a good paying job to pursue this podcasting career full time, because I genuinely enjoy connecting with athletes, fighters, coaches, managers. You know what I mean? It's just, I've always been around high level athletes my whole life. So it's, for me, transitioning and giving up a job that made me money but didn't give me internal happiness. I don't regret it, because it taught me a lot in that process and that time, right? But now I know my journey is this, and the joy that I get talking to fighters and talking to athletes and learning from them and be able to share their experience, share their story, it's motivating. And every single day I talk to someone new and I learn something else, you know? So like your advice right there is just, it just comes back to me, because it's like the little thing, all that matters is just putting in that work, you know? And that's just that simple reminder.
Yeah. So it's that ingredient for success. It's pretty simple, but yet very hard. But if your motivation is there, you're gonna make it for sure.
That's what I feel like. If you put good energy and love into things, it's going to come back to you, you know, like, and that's just like you, like you're putting good energy, your heart and your love all in the line, and it's coming back to you, you know? So like, thank you for that advice there. Back to your fight then. What are your thoughts on opponent Darren Till then?
I think Darren Till is a great fighter, and you know, now when he has been doing a little bit up and down in his career, people are suddenly doubting him a little bit, and how good is he really, and so on. But the dude just like he has 3 losses. It's Tyron Woodley, it's Masvidal, and it's Whitaker. You know, it's pretty good guys. So Darren Till is definitely a high level fighter, and He's also he's a cool person. I really like to follow him as well because he's a funny guy with a lot of humor and a cool fighting style. But that being said, I'm very confident in my abilities, and I definitely think that I will be able to beat him in a bout. And I'm really looking forward to that. Right now, I'm in a position where I'm high ranked than Darren, but all of the guys above me is fighting. So Cannonier and Whittaker is supposed to fight, and you have Adesanya and Costa is supposed to fight. So I think it's a good thing for me to have a fight just to stay active be able to show myself for fans once again, continue to build my fan base, earn some money, and so on. And hopefully, I will get one of those top 4 guys in the next fight. I'm not looking faster until it's going to be a tough contest, and I'm really looking forward to it.
That's good. We're excited for that fight. Darren Till's he's such a big name too, so it's a good. I feel like it's a good exposure for you. You know, he's had a lot of fan base following because of his personality outside the cage as well. You know, I remember that one fight he had in Liverpool when he just screamed at the crowd or whatever, and I was like, oh yeah, like this guy's I'll watch this guy, you know, like. And then he had that when he fought against Woodley, he looked huge in there as a welterweight, you know what I mean? Like
definitely. He's about, I think it's about my size, because I would be a huge welterweight, but I'm not very big in middleweight. And I think that's the same thing for Till basically. So we're probably gonna be about the same size wise when we step in there.
That's good. Then your last fight against Calvin Gastelum obviously went great. You had a quick first round sub there. How was your experience fighting with no fans?
It was pretty cool. Before the fight, I think it's just good because you know you don't hear the whole arena shake from fans, and you know it kind of really releases a little bit of that pressure. Not much, but a little bit. But after the fight, when you're supposed to celebrate, and there's nobody there cheering for you, so that was a little bit weird. I was like super pumped, you know, and I was just like, I want somebody to celebrate with my team. And when I stepped out of the octagon, I started to fist bump the UFC staff, you know, because they were the only guys around there. So I guess that experience about and celebrating with the fans, that's a really cool part of it. And if you are at your home crowd, it's a really cool thing in the walkout and in the fight as well. But when I fight in hostile territory, I usually just like have tunnel vision where I'm almost not hearing anything around me. So besides my opponent, so.
I didn't even think about like the hostile territory thing. I was just thinking like when guys fight in Brazil's like Brazil's next level, you know. They're screaming that they want you to scream. They're screaming they want you to die or whatever.
Yeah, I fought in Brazil like I don't know 3 or 4 times. Yeah, so I know about that now.
That's just like an interesting feeling just to have like people literally screaming for your death. It kind of has that old like Coliseum vibes from back in the day. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So with the win over Darren Till, then do you think you would probably have to have one more fight, or do you think they would give you a title shot potentially? Because I feel like the Cannonier Whittaker winner will get a title shot for sure, but then there would be no one else. There would be no one else for you to fight in a sense, really.
Yeah, I feel like that as well. So probably the winner of that fight will. We will see if Whittaker wins and if Adesanya wins. I'm not 100% sure that they will do it, but maybe. And but you never know. They might. I think especially if Adesanya loses, it might be a rematch. As well. So and if it takes a lot of time, maybe I want to stay active and have a fight and could possibly find someone else. But yeah, it's not impossible that the next fight could be the title if everything folds out good. There can be injuries. You never know how Whitaker and Cannonier are after the fight. Maybe Adesanya finishes Costa in 1 minute, and Whitaker wins, but he has a big knee injury and will be up for a year. Suddenly the opportunity will be there.
True.
So we will see, but I'm ready for whatever, and I know that I'm close. I'm not far away, so I'll do what I have to get there to that fight.
Sure, I guess that's the thing in the fighting game is there's so many variables and so many things that can happen or change. So it's like we said earlier in this interview, just kind of just stay present and just focus on Darren Till from now. And you beat him, no matter what, good things are going to come, So that's a guarantee. There's not like, you can't beat him and something bad happens, So
no, you'll go towards the right direction. So yeah.
I'm just going to ask you a couple of fighter predictions. Is that okay then?
Yeah, of course.
Israel Adesanya and Paulo Costa.
Yeah, I've said Paulo Costa the whole time, and I don't think I'm always cautious with my predictions, and I always say that, I get it wrong all the time. It doesn't matter how long I'm in this sport, I'm getting it wrong all the time. It's so hard to predict, and a fight like that, everything can happen. But I feel like Costa is gonna come with that insane power and pressure, and he's going to be so hungry for that position. I think he's going to take big risks, so it's possible that Adesanya will catch him, but if not, I think it's going to be hard to handle that beast coming towards you. So especially since I don't feel like Adesanya has the grappling game to mix it up if he really needs to. So that's an interesting one, but I give Costa a small edge in that one.
Okay, I think that's one of the toughest fights to predict right now, because their styles they clash so much, and we haven't got to see them in deep waters again against a style that opposes them like that. So
yeah,
next,
exactly, it's gonna be interesting.
Colby Covington and Tyron Woodley.
Oh, I really like Woodley, but it's hard when he hasn't been looking like the good old Woodley,
Yeah.
And Covington is just such a cardio beast coming forward with that pressure, and you could see the way Woodley handled Usman was not very good. So if he will handle that the same, I'm not sure, but I have to give the edge to Colby in that one.
Yeah, I would agree in that sense right now with everything that Colby's showing and how Woodley's showing. Like, it's crazy. I rewatched the Woodley and Darren Till fight actually yesterday, and Woodley looked like a beast 2 years ago, and then from that Usman fight, I just don't know what happened. He looks like a completely different fighter. Like, Usman took his soul in that fight.
yeah, and it's like sometimes you just feel like, oh, where is that hunger and that willingness to take risks and stuff like that, that you see in an up and coming fighter, but maybe not as in Woodley right now. But you never know; they can get that spark back and look better than ever. Man, I was talking about the fighters who've been for a while. Frankie Edgar looked so awesome in his last fight. Yeah, you never know when the spark is coming back. So it's gonna be interesting.
True. Khabib and Justin Gaethje.
Yeah, you can never put anybody other than Khabib a favorite in a Khabib fight because he's undefeated, right? So that wouldn't be insane to put anybody else. So I'll give it to Khabib. But that being said, I really believe that Justin Gaethje is going to be the hardest opponent for him so far, and I would not be surprised if he could beat him, actually, especially when you see the development in skill that Gaethje has for his last fight. He looks amazing now. So I'm looking forward to that one, but you got to give it to Khabib. He is undefeated. So
Definitely. It's a good point that you said about Gaethje, Joe. Like in the last 2 or 3 years, like the growth that he's had as a fighter, because he always had that killer mentality. He just he put on shows, and I mean, but since he started working with Trevor Whitman and then everyone at like Elevation Fight Team as well too, I find that he's a lot more calculated and he's picking his shots more, and then he's
refined,
utilizing his wrestling and everything. So it's like you said, Khabib is going to be the favorite every fight, no matter what. But that's one person I'm like, like if he can just get his own off, so last one, Korean Zombie and Brian Ortega.
That's an interesting one. Well, Brian Ortega, he had such a big hype for a while there, and he was the next big thing, and suddenly has been so quiet around him. Korean Zombie, it's great to have him back in the game also, and tricky one. I think that it's gonna be they're probably pretty evenly matched. So I will I'll just give it to Ortega, but I have no idea. I have no idea who's gonna take that one.
Perfect. Last question then. So after all the blood, sweat, and tears in your career, and your career is over, what do you want to be remembered for as a UFC fighter?
I want to be remembered as being one of the greatest. I still have a lot of time back, still left in the sport, and I want to get that title. I want to defend that belt, and I want to end up in the Hall of Fame. I want to be one of the guys that you mentioned when you talk about MMA. I want to make a footprint in this sport. After my career, I don't want to be gone. I want people to remember me. So I'm gonna do everything I can to put that legacy of mine in the sport, and so it's gonna stay there.
That's a really good, strong, and powerful answer, because everything you said right there, you're putting that energy into the universe right now. You know what I mean? You literally manifested the life that you want. So now it's just a matter of putting in that hard work and living. And I feel like that's two things that both of us thrive on, So now it's just a matter of you putting in your work inside the cage and outside the cage, and me putting in my work on this keyboard right here. And
let's do it.
Time to shine for both of us, Jack.
Yes, it is.
So thank you for coming on today. That should be good now. Like I'm very appreciative of your time. I look forward to your fight. If there's anything you want to say to kind of any fans or friends or sponsors before you go, that's cool. If not, thank you again for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. Make sure everybody out there that you check out my Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, Jack the Joker MMA.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thanks a lot for coming on today, Jack. Good luck on your fight against Darren Till. I'll talk soon.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Take care, Jack.
Take care. Bye-bye.